I'm so tired of people saying that it's just a movie, it's just a comic book, it's just a TV show. Whatever. No, it's not. Stories are the building blocks of our culture, of ourselves, even of our own psychology. We are a product of the stories we tell ourselves about our own past and the experiences on a daily basis, but also the stories that we choose to spend time with. What types of values or feelings or whatever are they promoting? What types that we like to spend our time around? They're going to shape us. They're going to shape our personality and character, and they're going to shape our perception of the world and the acts and behaviors that we put out into the world. And people don't understand that. They go, it's just a movie. It's just this. I can like and promote whatever I want. Well, of course you can, but you should pay attention to the responsibility that you have.
Consume stories responsibly.
As a member of society, as a human being, responsibility to yourself.
Consider the consequences.
You need some balance. You need some certain criteria that is going to make sure you're promoting the right kind of works, or at least have thought through the type of work that this or that story is going to do in our culture, and then make your own decision whether or not that's something you want to support.
Consume stories responsibly. Consider the consequences. Consume stories responsibly.
Hello everyone, I'm Professor Geek. Welcome back to the channel. Sorry, a few minutes late tonight, but everything's here's been a little weird. In fact, my daughter, you might still hear her from the other room, but I think she's not asleep yet. I'm gonna have to go and check on her real quick, and I'll be right back. So we'll see if this is gonna work, but all right, take two. We'll see if this works. It's been a day. It's been a day. It's gone. It's rolled into the evening here. Looks like the yeah, it has been a day. Let me check on some things here. I'll welcome the chat here in a moment, but the camera's being weird too. So the Wi-Fi vampires, my nieces are over. I was helping them set up a projector tonight, and it got interesting. It got late, and then my daughter didn't get her sleep medicine until later and everything. But I think we're good to go now. I think she screams at me again because of a nightmare or some sleep issues. Then we'll just take a pause again. But I think we're good. Camera even sort of cleared up, I think. So, all right. Well, I have no idea who was commenting on the video, because I think I set the stream up yesterday or last night. First one I do see, though, which I think is funny, Scott Pickering says, comment here and it'll disappear. So not yet, actually. He must have got that just in right in the amount of time there. But I do see Crizzy Kitty. Welcome to you. Brian Gilmartin, Nathaniel Zalozball, Daniel. Let's see, Green Lion Girl, Sartorian Clegane, Horizon Talker, Pseudo Badger, welcome. There's my dear Sound Engraver, welcome to you. And a whole lot more people, a lot of people. Welcome everybody who's here, and hopefully we'll be able to get through this pretty well. I am, had a day, been going out there in the hot, sweltering sun. Oh, I hate summer. I just hate summer. It's why? No one should be required to do anything in summer. Summer's just nasty. It's nasty, disgusting. Unless you lived, up north somewhere. That might be nice, but anyway. Got a few things to talk about tonight. But I'm just checking in with the chat. I do see Leia Plus Size, welcome. And Spidey Rules. Fazocchio says, I'm here too. Yeah, I feel like I was going all day to the point where I got home, set up the projector thing for my nieces and Alyssa to watch some things outside in the yard, and they took that so late. So then I had to get that all taken care of and packed up, and then get Alyssa her sleep medicine and stuff like that. And I feel like I just showered and sat down after the day. So gonna try to get the brainwaves thinking straight here and everything. I didn't know that the Ghostbusters Afterlife trailer was going to drop when it did the other day. I haven't been following it. I knew that it was something that is supposed to come out, a while ago, but because of everything, as a lot of movies got pushed back, they pushed it back too. I feel Ghostbusters Afterlife, they gave us just very little bit of glimpses and teases, and it was happening at such a weird time where so many other things were happening too, that I don't think anybody was really able to make a solid decision on it. In terms of is this something that they like the look of, they don't like the look of, what? Now that it's happened now, it's almost like it's waited so long. Maybe it'll be a good thing for it. Coming right on the heels of the He-Man Kevin Smith utter dumpster fire, and just the general disillusionment that anybody with a brain should have about any storytelling coming from Hollywood. It's interesting that this dropped. So you might have seen my my title card there, my thumbnail. First of all, I do want to give a shout out to Rob's Movie Collection. He is he's got a channel called Rob's Movie Collection. I'm going to put the link in the description there. He did that that picture of the gravestones. He's really good at photo manips and stuff like that, and he makes some really good videos too. Find his collection website. There we go. There he is. He's got it's a smaller channel, but he deserves to have way more subscribers. He doesn't really do commentary about movies like I do, but he tends to agree with us, here about these geek movies and whatnot. So I'll put the link here in the chat. I definitely recommend you go check that out, because he did that image with the graveyard, He-Man, Star Trek, Doctor Who, Star Wars, DCEU, all of those, and that's just the state of things right now. It really is. It's kind of like that other meme that I love that had J.J. Abrams in a Grim Reaper costume, and he's walking down a hallway, and you can see a trail of blood behind him, and there was the trail of blood leading out of the Star Trek room, leading out of the Star Wars room, and now he's knocking on the Superman door with his, it's not a sickle. What is it called? I'm blanking on the Grim Reaper thing. But that's just the state of Hollywood right now. It's to the point where you are pretty naive and stupid to and I'm just going to go ahead and say it. Yeah, stupid to think this next one, though, is going to be good. No. It's that's not logical in any way. But what do we do with what we've seen from Afterlife? Because I'm going to cover all of the different angles and the ways that people tend to think are might be reacting to the Afterlife trailer, and then I'll probably my own will tend to emerge, I'm sure, as I'm giving these other ones. But first of all, I got a couple super chats. Azriel 1984, thank you very much for $2. Says, PG, do you think woke Hollywood is on its last leg? Creatively, it's beyond that. Do you mean like financially? No, I wouldn't even be surprised if the government starts bailing it out, because the ideologues who are fixed in Hollywood desperately want that to be the source of indoctrination. And I wouldn't be surprised at all if the government got behind it, if it was ever starting to hurt monetarily to that point. I don't see enough people willing to simply walk away from it, though. I see people starting to say they're walking away from it, but I don't see them actually walking away from it or stop, squeeing about the next one. The thing you hear everybody say right now, the kind of the default thing about Ghostbusters Afterlife is like, I'm cautiously optimistic. How cautious are you? You look like you're about to piss your pants as you say that. No, you're excited. You're squeeing all over the place. It's just the cool hip thing right now to say, I'm cautiously optimistic. No, you're not really cautious at all. You're totally on board again. So Megatron Prime for $5. Thank you very much. Says, just finished classic He-Man and She-Ra. Moving on to 2002 He-Man. A good reboot. Yeah, if you're like me, nothing will ever just touch the magic of that filmation. It was just so beautiful. I do like the 2002, like I said, but it made some aesthetic choices for me that didn't really contain the magic, but it's very much true to the aspirational He-Man. Absolutely. Definitely. So I did that thumbnail with the graveyard that Rob's Movie Collection had made for me. And it made sense, right? The death of Hollywood. What about the afterlife? Because Ghostbusters Afterlife is a it's a different case. Okay, it's a different case. It's not simply a case of them bringing back Ghostbusters. It's a case of they already did that shenanigan. They already did that debacle. That just I've already said dumpster fire. I'm trying to think of what's extreme enough, that horrible just blight upon the existence of film that was the 2016 Ghostbusters movie. It was wretched. It was disgusting. And they brought everybody back that you wanted to see back. They brought Dan Aykroyd back, Ernie Hudson, Bill Murray. They were all part of that. They were part of it. They were doing the promotional tour. They were on the interviews. They were throwing in their lot, whether they said things or not. They were guilty by association. They said yes to this. We'll be a part of it. Yes, do this. They sat there with these women, if you want to call them that, these trolls that played these parts, these feminist trolls, saying that anybody who dares criticize this movie is just a basement-dwelling incel and blah, blah, blah. They were part of that. They were part of that. And I know, just as I'm saying that right now, somebody's mid-sentence right now, I don't really blame Dan Aykroyd, though, because he was just, he's got to please the company and the... Stop it. Stop excusing bad behavior. I'm so sick of this. I'm sick to death of this. And people sound like delusional, simpering, battered wives. Oh, they were trying to impress their friends. They didn't really mean to call me that or hit me like that. No, stop it. Stop excusing bad behavior. Well, I know Jon Favreau explicitly stated in that interview that The Mandalorian leads right into the New Order and the sequel trilogy, but he had to say that. He had to say that because, he wants to work from within. Stop it. Stop it. You are naive and foolish. Stop it. And what other things? I don't really blame Henry Cavill because he's just an actor and he had to say those things to support the movie that he was in. And stop it. As if he didn't read the script and know exactly what kind of portrayal this story was going to be doing for Superman and signed his name to it, signed his face, his big flippin' ugly face to it. No, he did. Stop excusing bad behavior. These celebrities deserve to be held accountable. You can't pick and choose and decide, well, I'm not really so mad at that one, though, because I kind of like what they did, kind of like their stuff. No. Dan Aykroyd, Ernie Hudson, and Bill Murray owe the fans an apology, an outright apology. Now, I'm not saying that they are beyond redemption in the fans' eyes. No. And I haven't followed every little interview they've done, but in Dan Aykroyd's case, it seems like he's pretty much seen the light and pretty much admitted that, yeah, that was a horrible misstep. And from what I've heard from the last bit I followed, it seems like that. I'm not saying you can never forgive, but stop pretending that things they've done don't matter and stop pretending that they don't exist, especially when they haven't come out and said, hey, we're going the wrong direction with this. Let's go this way. Stop that. So I'm not beyond forgiveness and waiting and seeing about Afterlife. We'll get to that in a second. But stop pretending that we can just be totally excited again because they're all on board. That'd be great. I'm glad that their IMDb anyway says I'll believe Bill Murray's in the film when I see him in the film. Honestly, he owes us big time for being the one to drag his heels and not let Ghostbusters 3 happen for as long as he did. Then to finally show up in that atrocity that was 2016 Ghostbusters. Oh, you better be back for a good, huge chunk of classic vintage Venkman action in this Ghostbusters Afterlife. I don't want to see a little cameo either. No. So you have to take these things into account. This is what it means to truly be cautiously optimistic about something. I don't even like the word optimistic. I wouldn't even describe it, people should be optimistic. Not that you need to be a pessimist or anything, but we need to be realists about what Hollywood has done, who's working in Hollywood, and the kind of stuff they're giving us. I have not seen any deal breakers so far on Ghostbusters Afterlife, and that makes me happy. I haven't seen any deal breakers. In fact, the things I've seen are pretty cool, but they have been very careful not to really reveal too much. Jason Reitman did do a commentary track. I forget what website it was or whatever, where he was just discussing the things that you saw in this recent trailer. And I liked what he said. I did. I liked the things he said. But even then, he was still kind of holding the cards close to his chest. They're not going to reveal exactly what the story is. Specifically, I mean, we know the gist of it, but specifically, we don't know the extent to which Dan Aykroyd, Ernie Hudson, Bill Murray, will be involved. We do get to see Janine, that little glimpse in the trailer, and that was wonderful. I love seeing that. That's one of the things I'm kind of waiting on. I'm going to be pretty disappointed if all we get is little cameos, just little cameos. I think they owe us more than that, especially after 2016. Absolutely. Sigourney Weaver, Dana Barrett apparently is signed on too. So this is all good stuff. Good stuff. But I wouldn't say I'm cautiously optimistic. I would say I haven't seen a deal breaker yet. That's what I would say. And that's not me being a pessimist or just, too hard on them. That's simply saying that they have lost the right. Hollywood has lost the right to be innocent until proven guilty. It no longer has that right from you. It no longer has the right to expect for you just to go and give things a chance. No, we are so far beyond that. Stop pretending. Now Hollywood has to prove to you. They have to go out of their way to prove to you and win you over with trailers, with good behavior from their cast and crew on social media, from wonderful things that we hear on behind the scenes or special feature kind of things, featurettes or whatever. The ball's in their court. This is how it should be. Now, again, a lot of you are just not you here, but a lot of people out there are just simpering. I can't wait to go see that. They're going to be there for it, no matter what. So I don't like this term cautiously optimistic. I don't think they deserve us to be optimistic about it. I think if they continue to market the film without any deal breakers and with more and more things that look good and do look enticing, then yeah, that's cool. Okay, I'll go watch it. I will. And as long as I don't see a deal breaker. But I mean, my standards are high. And they should just roll over and agree to meet every single one of them too, because we're so far beyond this notion. This is what I kept hearing with Mandalorian when it came to Disney Star Wars. We have to work with Disney. We have to work with them. Come on, it's unrealistic to ask them just to completely dismantle Disney continuity. So we just need to work with them and support the little things that are doing good. But stop it. What kind of delusional, naive thinking actually thinks that's going to keep going your way? They don't care about you. They do not care about you. You are either ignorant or evil. That's it. If you're ignorant, good. Sit down, shut up, be preached to. If you're evil, then you need to get out the door. You need to stop it. Stop it. So we're so far beyond that. We don't need to work with them. No, the ball is completely in their court. They need to woo us big time. We are the cheerleaders of the high school movie. We are the beautiful cheerleaders in the high school film, and they are the dirty, rotten, nose-picking, filthiest nerd, and they have to completely get a makeover and woo us in every way. That's what needs to happen here. How's that picture for you? They've got a lot of work to do of anybody who's discerning, and most people aren't. Most people simply aren't. Most people will roll right over and go see whatever or pay for it or whatever, claim they pirated it. Even if they did pirate it, still part of the problem because they jump on social media and promote it, so it's we talked about this. So that's in general what my approach is to Ghostbusters Afterlife. Now we'll talk about specifics here in a second. And I'll talk about, because I am a big Ghostbusters fan. We talked about it a lot on my channel when we were doing the reboots and everything. The one thing that I've yet to get into, which is on my list to do actually before the Afterlife release and Thanksgiving, is I've yet to read the comics. I started on the comics, the IDW comics. I've heard wonderful things about them, and that's my next thing. But when it came to the first two films, obviously, I actually was just in storage today cleaning out stuff, and I thought this is perfect. I'm talking about this tonight. I found my original toy. It was the projector proton pack gun. So I've got it somewhere, but the little it's like the seat, like the projectors, but it's got it of the ghosts in there. So you would project it on the wall, and then you had a noise, I think, that would go, it's like you were playing with the, Ghostbusters there. I had some film. I was digging out some of the books. I've got the, like the little Scholastic or Del Yearling, but the Ghostbusters 2, behind the scenes movie book and everything. Of course, I grew up on the cartoon, loving that. I've even read the novelizations, and the novelizations are quite good. They really do develop this. They're done quite well. They just did release an omnibus, actually, of the novelizations from Ghostbusters 1 and Ghostbusters 2, which are pretty good. So that's great too. And like I said, I need to get into the comics as well. But I love Ghostbusters. I love the premise of it. I love that, it happened. It came about in the era that was just perfect. It was just perfect for it. It was primed for it. It was that, Saturday Night Live had really made its impact on the culture. And these players came from Saturday Night Live, SCTV, and so forth. And Dan Aykroyd, I love the story of his. He even wrote a book that was actually a really good book about the ghost stories in his past growing up. They kind of set him on the interest in the paranormal. And he's publicly admitted he has Asperger's, so he will get on get kind of fixated on ideas sometimes. And he was fixated at that time on police officers. He was even carrying a badge around with him. He was fixated on the idea of a police officer and the paranormal, ghosts. So he thought, why not blend these two into a movie I'm doing? Wrote the script. It was beautiful. It was wonderful. And got the cast together. I know that they wanted John Belushi, I think, but Bill Murray ended up signing on, and it was perfect. It was just so many great things came together. The cast was wonderful. It was just lightning in a bottle. It was really wonderful. I even really like Ghostbusters 2. I know a lot of people act like, oh, that was just, I don't buy any of that argument. I don't. No, it's not the quality film quite lightning in the bottle that the first one was, but I think it's all the right elements. It's everything I wanted to see again. I wanted to see the four of them against all odds doing their thing again, and I think that was quite good. It pulled a few things that was kind of what sequels were doing in those days, rehashing a few beat by beats from the first film or whatever, but I loved it. I didn't have a problem with it major like that. And of course the cartoon, grew up on that cartoon, the real Ghostbusters. Can't say enough great things about that. I had the action figures, all of them, every single one. Janine, I had the little firehouse station. It was so great to play with those. And I think that what made the Ghostbusters so visceral and so made that hadn't got such a hold on kids is one thing. I did that video before, and I'll link it later, but on the Epic Four, the archetype of a group of four heroes, they really got that right. Same thing with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. They really got the group of four, the epic archetype of four right in terms of the personality styles that should go into a group of four heroes. Got that so well. They had such a good dynamic and interplay between them that you wanted to be there. You wanted to be a part of it. And even though in the first movie, Winston doesn't come in until relatively late in the film, you still get the sense that the team's not really solid and solidified until he's there, because he's that grounding for them. I love that the conversation that Winston and Ray have when they're in the Ecto-1 towards the end of the first movie, and they're talking about the Book of Revelation, and the end days and the apocalypse and the grounds, graves are open and so forth. And apparently that's what you see, that little clip in the trailer. Jason Reitman was saying that when you hear Dan Aykroyd's voice, he's there at the occult bookstore that he was running in part 2. And he picks up the phone. You see a little tattoo on his arm, and that's the verse from Revelation, apparently, which is what he and Winston were talking about. So the interplay between them, that was just great. That translated to the cartoon from the movies and everything like that. I think a lot of people are going to see what's going on with the the premise of the Ghostbusters Afterlife movie, and they're going to judge it against what they always wanted from a Ghostbusters 3. Unfortunately, that's just not realistic at this point. You can't. I mean, there's no. I mean, come on, Harold Ramis has passed away tragically. The idiots waited too long until one of them had to pass away, and I think we can't have the movies like we should have anymore. I mean, we definitely should have had Ghostbusters 3 late 90s or 2000s, whatever it was. Definitely should have had that movie. So that's just simply not possible. So I don't mind so much the things that Jason Reitman's wanting to do, like take it out of New York City for now. It's almost like that chapter's closed. And I will say, if you're griping about not having the Ghostbusters 3 we should have had, and you haven't played the Ghostbusters video game, shut up and go play that game right now. Then come back and we'll talk. That game is Ghostbusters 3. I mean, that game was written by Dan Aykroyd. He wrote the script for it. You had the entire original cast back, all of them, Harold Ramis, Bill Murray, all of them came back and voiced. And the premise of it is that you're the new member of the Ghostbusters. So it's so cool. It's like I get to play through this Ghostbusters 3 movie as though I'm the next member of the team. It was wonderful. It was beautiful. And it really was a great story. And that is Ghostbusters 3. So that chapter with the New York City and all of that, for now anyway, I don't mind that sort of being closed. And some of the things Jason Reitman was saying, wanting to get it into a different setting. Afterlife does imply legacy, right? You know, we know that this is Egon's, I think, grandchildren, I think, coming into it. Now, I don't just want to see just dropping some names, oh, hi, I'm little grandchild Egon, check me out doing the Ghostbuster thing now. No, I'm not interested in that at all. That's why I'm saying that if the original cast isn't in there for more than just a cameo, I'm not having it. No, you guys owe us way more than that. You need to be in that film pretty solidly. Now, they don't need to be the team again because they're older and they, all of them aren't even alive and so forth. But no, they should be solidly in that movie. But I'm okay with that kind of passing of the torch. That's fine. I like the things that Jason Reitman was saying about really trying to not only keep with the feel and the theme. Like some people are they think that Slimer that that Phoebe, the little girl, gets in that swing out chair, and is using the proton pack. They think that Slimer she's getting. No, that's actually a ghost they call Muncher, who's an homage to Slimer. But it's the same kind of premise there, So something happens and the vault is loose, where Egon had it hidden out there in the country home, and they've got to do this fight. And you're going to see new improvements to the Ecto-1 because as Jason Reitman said, Egon would have kept tampering with it, would have kept improving it, would have kept working on it, So it's not just the technology isn't going to stop at the level of the Ghostbusters 2 where we saw it and not improve it all. You're going to have little tinkerings and things that have happened to it over the year, which I think are great. That's all fine too. Paul Rudd is really a good selling point in this for me because Paul Rudd is just he's just a solid actor for this kind of thing. He's got a way of being incredibly. He's really funny, but he's endearing at the same time. He's not pretentious. He's not somebody, and you've never heard him do any of the preaching stuff. He just does his job and he goes. I really do like that. So he's a great one to have in there. I like that mix. I'm happy with Finn Wolfhard, from the Stranger Things. And the girl who's playing Phoebe, Egon's granddaughter. I don't know that I've seen her in anything. But oh my gosh, doesn't she look like she would be Egon's granddaughter? I mean, she's just like the spitting image, the way they've got her hair curled up and the glasses and everything. That was done pretty well. So I don't mind the idea of a legacy, kind of sort of rebooting the franchise. If this does turn out to be a true portrayal of what the story does. And that's the other thing Jason Reitman said. He said that not only is he concerned with getting the look of it right, trying to think what would Ghostbusters ghosts look like, and really get that down. They're not using a bunch of CGI. Apparently, he's really, they'll use it when they need it and stuff, but he's really trying to harness the real look, of the real effects that they were using back in the day. But he's also concerned with the themes. Ghostbusters has always been about these 4 disparate people coming together and forming a family. Forming a little family and going up against odds that are just overwhelming, but somehow succeeding. Because Ghostbusters aren't just up against ghosts; they're up against the whole city government. They're up against all these regimes and everything like that. And yet they prevail nonetheless. Alec Purdue said, "Thank you for the $5 super chat." I said, "I'm worried it's going to be too much like Stranger Things with the kids being the stars." I didn't mind that about Stranger Things, the kids being the stars. That was never a problem for me. The problem was what direction they took it in season 3 with the woke stuff coming into it. I didn't mind the kids being the stars there. Now, for Ghostbusters, yeah, I don't want to see the Junior Ghostbusters movie, but I don't mind the idea of the torch being passed somewhat, as long as the torch is passed. It's not just it's been buried in the ground and then suddenly these kids find it. No. Like I said, the original cast needs to be in this film far more than just a cameo. They need to be serious part players in this movie, definitely. Welcome, Stephen Cruz. I didn't see you there for a little bit, but see you there. This is Imagine if cameos aren't Bill Murray, etc., but Melissa McCarthy in 2016 cast. Yeah, no. In fact, I'm not even the comics, apparently that even the IDW comics were forced to put the Melissa McCarthy Ghostbusters in the comics at some point. Once they get to that point, that's when I'm stopped reading. I do want to read up until that point because I heard it's great, but no, that's nope, not at all. Not having any part of that. So, I like what he said, but like I said, all I'm saying is there haven't been any deal breakers. That's all. I fully expect this to the deal breaker to be right around the corner. I hope it doesn't, and I'm not saying it's definitely going to, but you look at Hollywood's track record, and how could you not expect that? You can hope it doesn't happen. I hope it doesn't happen, but how can you not expect the deal breaker to be right around the corner? Hopefully it won't. Hopefully things will be okay. Jason Reitman, the son of Ivan Reitman, and even Ivan Reitman being a part of it, the original director of the films, that's great. It was going to be, I think at one time when they were looking at Ghostbusters 3, Harold Ramis was just going to go ahead and direct because he'd become an accomplished director himself at that point. I don't know if Ivan Reitman was going to be a part of it or not, but yeah. So I want to get away from this idea of being cautiously optimistic because that's just what people say when they just really want to look forward to the movie and be optimistic. Yeah, hope it works out. Hope it ends up being a great film. Hope it even kind of reboots the Ghostbusters in a way that's honoring to that and true to the story. Sure, but don't look for it to happen because it probably won't. And what I mean by that is not just be nihilistic about it. No. The reason we need to be a realist about when it comes to our response to Hollywood is that so we hold their feet to the fire and make them do the work. Because they've shown us time and time again that you give them the little inch, they will stop working. As soon as they see you turn their way, they will stop every overture they made to you because you're back now. You're back. They can do what they want again. No, it has to be abundantly clear to them that they need to learn every dog trick in the book and sit up and beg and roll over and everything before they get our treats. I mean, they need to do the whole deal. They can't just do it halfway. And that requires us to be strong. Don't just, flip out about it online and, I can't wait. And you got to go see it to see what it's like. No, stop it. So that's my take on Ghostbusters Afterlife. Cautiously optimistic, no, because I think that's just what people say when they want to be optimistic about it. Look for deal breakers like a hawk. Enjoy the stuff that they show that's not a deal breaker. I do like that. I like the fact that he was even saying that Jason Reitman said that the first two movies, of course, you had Stay Puft Marshmallow Man, the giant, ghost, and you had the second film, you had the Statue of Liberty, so that kind of that trope of the giant figure moving through the city, and they even did some stupid version of that in the non-Ghostbusters of 2016. So he said, well, we wanted to go a different direction, but we still like the idea of Stay Puft. So that's where you get that little scene in the trailer of like the little mini Stay Puffs, like these little gremlins and everything, which I think is great. It touches back to the nostalgia, but it's it's a new thing too. So what I've heard from Jason Reitman seems like he's balancing the act of being true to the original, all of the homages properly paid, all of the proper themes, all of the proper telling a real true blue Ghostbusters story. And yet he's doing his own thing too, in terms of let's make it a new movie worth having and not just a retrospective of the other two, So yeah, seems right. But he's going to have to keep saying the right things, and he's going to have to keep showing me the footage that's right and avoiding deal breakers at all costs. I don't envy the job of a Hollywood filmmaker these days trying to earn an audience if they really want a real audience. They should be walking a minefield right now, not just jaunting through the grass expecting you to follow. So that is those are my thoughts on Ghostbusters Afterlife and what's going on with Hollywood right now in general. But checking for super chats I might have missed. I think I got those. So you guys are feel free to you're welcome to ask me any questions if you had things that are your thoughts on this or questions you had about it or whatever, or about other things too. I'm just going through and seeing where people have tagged me, looking for comments or questions. Bunny with a keyboard is talking about the Dadaist movement. Yeah, the Dadaist movement was garbage. That's postmodernism, creeping in. You see it in art, but you see it in writing too. It's yeah, it's ridiculous. Stephen Cruz. Yeah, I know. Lampless, I said, don't worry, it'll be fall soon. I know. I'm waiting for fall. Man, I'm waiting for fall. I'm so sensitive to humidity. I hate it. Hate it. I keep a dehumidifier on in my apartment all the time, 24/7. 24/7. It never goes off. I hate humidity, and it's been so sweltering and disgusting outside. You just step outside and you get the sheen of sweat over you. You haven't even done anything. All you've done is step outside. It's just nasty. Oh, Didu brought up Extreme Ghostbusters. I'm glad you did that. Yeah, I was pleasantly surprised by Extreme Ghostbusters. I saw that and thought, oh boy, what is this? Extreme. Oh, everything's extreme. Where's this Ghostbusters going to be? And I was pleasantly surprised by that. I really was. I thought, I don't think that's a continuity for this movie or anything, but it's kind of a continuity for the original real Ghostbusters series, if you want to think of it in that way. And no, I thought that did good. I thought did well. I thought it, you got Egon, you got Janine in there shepherding this new crew of younger Ghostbusters. I was actually surprised by that. I was okay with that. I haven't watched the entire series to the end. I know it didn't last too terribly long, but yeah, that was okay. I was okay with that. Autobot Starscream. I have played the Witcher games and read the novels, and prefer the games, to be honest with you. The novels were great when he was just writing short stories, and even the first novel or two was good, but he eventually turned those books even into the I think Ghostbusters mode. I'm not in Witcher's mode, so I'm blanking my mind. Siri. They turned him into the Siri story, and Geralt kind of became just a joke. I thought in the last book or two. Now, not the very last book. The very last book, it seems like he was kind of a prequel of sorts, and he was kind of trying to go back and retcon some of the nonsense he got into and tell a good solid story. I actually liked the very last one he did. Alec Purdue for $2 says thoughts on Luigi's Mansion as a GB-esque game. As a Game Boy-esque game, I really did like Luigi's Mansion. I played it on the GameCube. I don't know what GB means. Game Boy? I hate Game Boy. Hate everything that happened on the Game Boy. Horrible interface. But no, I like Luigi's Mansion. That was cool. That was fun. Stephen Cruz says, when it comes to writing tropes, etc., where should they take a story like this with the passing of the torch type of thing? Well, I mean, what they've said they're doing, I think, is good. You've got it in family. A repeating of the themes, not a repeating of the themes, but a deepening of the themes, a family. And I think this is a good place to take it. I don't know exactly how it's going to roll out, but one thing that I didn't mind so much, how Ghostbusters 2, they had to kind of fight to claim validity again, in people's eyes, which is kind of part of the little journey they had in the first movie, but they had to kind of reclaim that again in part 2. And they did. They solidly did. And I know that still you're going to have people disbelieving it, believing it, or whatever. But I hope that they haven't been on their down and outs, all this time. Because you like these characters, you spend time with them, you care about them, So I hope that they've had good lives, and that they continue to do so from this story on. Because that's one of the things that bothers me when the end of a film takes a character on a journey. You don't want to see the very next film or the very next story undo all that to get the character back down to square one. No, that's lazy writing. You set a new journey in front of them and have them go on a different kind of journey or scale a different mountain and so forth, So I hope it doesn't do that, Yeah, I agree, Book Boy. Whenever you give those Hollywood shams an inch, they'll take a mile. Oh, Spidey Rules is clarifying, I think, what Alec Purdue meant as a Ghostbusters-esque game. So Luigi's Mansion see, here's the thing that with the Ghostbusters game, I really do love it. But I've said many times before on stream, I am not a fan of games where you it's first person, right? So the screen is like you looking, like you're the character there, and the screen is your eyes, basically what you see. I like third person games where you're behind your character and you actually see. the concept of immersion and feeling like you're in the game is cool from a first person perspective, but it just doesn't translate to the screen over there across the room being the extent of my eyes. Like I'm trying to turn around. Like if I was really there, I could just turn my head and see, and it's just so limiting to me. I don't like, having to turn the camera with one controller, one joystick, and then doing things with the other. It actually pulls me out of the story. Now with the Ghostbusters one, I did have a little bit of that because I just don't prefer that type of interface for games, but the story itself was so great. And I love seeing the Ghostbusters right there beside me and everything that wasn't a problem for me. I was okay with that. So I wouldn't want to see Luigi's Mansion in a first person setting, but if you could play Luigi like an open world like that would be cool. Open world, open world, but at least in terms of the mansion there or whatever, that would be really fun if you could see Luigi there. You're behind him, moving him around, not the scroller or anything. That'd be cool. Private Eye says, I know you don't like hearing about anime. Oh, here we go. But I'm going to tell you about it anyway. But what about the Tokusatsu genre? AKA Super Sentai, Power Rangers, and Kamen Rider. I never watched any of that. Not even Power Rangers, the thing that was big in the day. I know other people did. That's fine. Nothing against it whatsoever. Just never got in. I think the reason I never got into Power Rangers, I probably would have. But their costumes, it's something about me. I need to see something distinctive about the different characters' faces. And they all just wore the same helmet, different colors, whoop-de-doo, but they just all wore these helmets. It was just like a group of bikers, coming to save the day. It just never appealed to me because of that. That's a silly thing. It's not an objective thing. It's totally me, subjective. I just need to see some different. I like being able to see the face, even if you got a mask on. At least let me see the eyes, or the and if it's animation, the eye slits, or something like that. I just don't like the helmet. That just never appealed to me. The unemotive helmet, it's just me. Stephen Griff, the game doesn't have wall chicken, then it's not a game for the prize, right? Oh man, that was torture playing that original Castlevania game. Never again. What do you mean I'm timed? What is this? Yeah, I don't know the terminology. Chrissy Kitty saying Sentai is something different or better than Power Rangers or whatever. I don't know. Sentai versus Super Sentai, just not my thing. Bookboy says, with all this wanting to subvert expectations, they are setting new ones. Yeah. Bigger ones. I said in my last stream, which I eventually cut out and made its own video, that one of the reasons why we need to be so careful to hold their feet to the fire and to hold them to such higher standards. I mean, amazingly higher standards, is because once they see, when I say you give them an inch or, they'll take a mile, what I mean by that is what I was saying before. They won't go back and fix things. They won't retcon. They won't start doing things different. They'll we'll fix it in the next one. Oh yeah, we'll give you Rise of Skywalker and that'll make everything okay. Are you kidding me? That was a garbage movie just as much as Last Jedi was. It's ridiculous. So that's their idea of winning you back. No. Go back, clean everything out, start from scratch, doing it right the first time. Then we'll talk. That's what we need to keep holding them to, those higher standards. So yeah. Now I'm not talking about anime now, guys. So I know you guys love it. That's great. But I'm going to stay away from those comments. Autobot Starscream says, yeah, the games are the area of my own exposure to the Witcher franchise, and I hear they're the best part. They really are. Now, I definitely recommend, if you haven't read the books of the Witcher, you really probably would enjoy, which I think are the best ones written. The first two, I think, are a collection of short stories, are like kind of novellas. They are so much fun. They are really so much fun. And you'll see a lot in the games drawn from those. Once he starts writing novels, he tends to kind of go off on this epic where he's just kind of really, it's the epic of Ciri, and it's, yeah. But those short stories are really good, really solid. I haven't read the Witcher comics. I don't know anything about those. I don't know if they're just retellings of the short stories or the novels or whatever, or if there's actually a cool, storyline on its own. I don't know about that, but I'd like to look into that. Not interested at all in the Witcher series of Netflix. That drove me crazy too. Everybody just kind of gave that a pass. Oh, yeah, they need to set some action. No, stop it. Have some self-respect, people. Stephen Cruz says, what are your personal favorite Monster in the House films or novels? What do you mean Monster in the House? Don't quite know. You mean like Haunted House kind of stuff? Or don't quite know what you mean by that. When it comes to the monster movies or anything, I'm pretty much just like the Universal monsters, I don't stray much from those classics. I'm not really interested in a lot of different kinds of horror or anything like that. I like the classic archetypal monster movies because they're so perfect. Interesting you bring up monsters because I love the Munsters. I think the Munsters are great. And, I like the Addams Family too, but I was kind of more of a Munsters person. This is kind of an example of how Hollywood is so out of touch in the terms of the way they speak to fans, just even the way they speak to fans. All right, now they've tried to bring back the Munsters a number of times. There was one series that for some reason did get quite a couple seasons even. It was kind of a silly premise. It was like the Munsters that you watched back in the day in the 60s kind of like froze themselves or went in a tomb or something like that and reemerged. And I think it was like the late 80s or something, or maybe the 90s. And we're like back in that time again, and it wasn't horrible. I mean, it's as a Munsters fan, okay, I'll watch it, but it wasn't, what it should be. But there've been some movies. One in particular, I forget the guy's name who they got to play Herman Munster. He's the guy that does all of the narration for the History Channel stuff with the glasses and everything like that. But he was great. He was a great Herman Munster. And in the original surviving cast actually cameoed in that one. That one wasn't so bad. So they tried to bring back the Munsters a number of times. And I think it was it 2009? Or maybe it was a little later than that. I forget exactly when. But Bryan Singer, it was a little after 2009, I think. I don't know. Bryan Singer announced, and Brian Fuller of the Heroes series fame, which was no fame whatsoever, if you ask me. Brian Fuller wrote and created this concept to bring back the Munsters. It was going to be called Mockingbird Lane. I don't know if you guys heard about this. And Bryan Singer was directing it, a series for television. Now, the way they promoted this was they came out and said, this is a Munsters you've never seen before. These Munsters are, we're really going to actually delve into some deep family issues, and we're going to really take it into some dramatic places and blah, blah, blah. Stop. What do you freaking idiots think you're doing? You're talking to fans of the Munsters, people that grew up on this specifically wonderful, beautiful show that it was, a comedy. It had its own meta narrative going on with either racism or different things like that, but it was great for what it was. It was wonderful. And it did that well. You don't talk to fans and act like what you're now presenting is the new and improved version of that. No. And this is why, the problem is that the fans aren't in Hollywood. Even people who say they're fans, like Kevin Smith, prove that they aren't. They don't even know how to talk to fans of the original stuff. So I was immediately, when they just even announced this, I was like, nope, don't want any part of that. Fought against it, and eventually it didn't get the numbers when they released the pilot, so it never got picked up. It got canned. Good enough for it. Now, I did like the cast they announced for it. I thought that was pretty cool. Years later, and you can watch it now. I think it's on Vimeo. You can go look up. It's called Mockingbird Lane. Years later, I went ahead and watched the pilot that they'd done. It's actually not a bad re-envisioning. It's actually really cool as a re-envisioning of the Munsters. If they had actually said, if Bryan Singer and Brian Fuller had said, look, we're not going to try to redo the Munsters again. The Munsters is a classic. People have tried to redo it. It's never as good as the original. That's just amazing as it is. So what we're going to do is we're going to work from the premise, and we're going to try and re-envision something that's based on that foundation. And we're going to do it a little differently, going to make it its own thing, but we hope you guys who like the premise and the foundation of the Munsters, we hope you'll come give it a chance. I would have been there in a heartbeat. I would have been 100% willing to give it a chance. 100%. They didn't. They couldn't help themselves. They had to go and act like, well, what we're doing is more dramatic and we're doing something so much better. And so I'm glad. I'm glad it didn't get picked up, because then it would have sent a message. You know, even though I actually like it in retrospect, I'm still glad it didn't get picked up, because it would have sent a message to Hollywood that, yep, you can always do better. You can always take these beloved franchises and do them better, because you're you. You're who you are now, and of course that's better. No, Hollywood has so much to learn about how to talk to fans. It never has learned. It still hasn't learned. I mean, Kevin Smith's debacle. Kevin Smith, ranting and raging against fans right now, and so-called him, claiming that he himself has been a fan. No. Hollywood's got so much to learn about how to just basically treat fans like human beings, as customers, as potential customers. You want to come and partake of your product. No, they've got so much to learn. Even when they produce a good product, like I said, Mockingbird Lane, it's pretty decent. It's not what the Munsters was. Nothing's going to ever touch the Munsters. But if it's a re-envisioning, if they would have promoted it like that, it's a shame they didn't. 100% a shame they didn't. Never heard of Golden Bat, Scott Pickering. Scott Pickering. Never heard of Golden Bat, no. Spidey Rule says, I hate it when Hollywood types say, we'll take this series you like and make it better and more serious and realistic with stakes. Oh, yeah. That was a red flag for me to begin with. As soon as Kevin Smith, before Masters Universe Revelation or any of the character designs or even the story synopsis ever came out, as soon as they were talking about, we want to give it stakes, no. I hate it when they take a cartoon, something that are like the Munsters, for example, something that you didn't have stakes, necessarily. And there were stakes in the original Filmation, so I don't buy that anyway. What they mean by that is they mean we want it to be so much more dramatic and so much more extreme and so much more. No, then you don't want that original franchise. Stop it. Stop trying to take all of the things that we love that already exist and mold them and shape them and force them into your mold, because it does harm to the brand and it does harm to possible things we could have gotten later. I mean, it's well documented. J.J. Abrams will forever be to blame for the fact that we never got a reunion of Luke, Han, and Leia on the screen together. Nope, gotta save Luke for the mystery box. You piece of garbage. Stop it. And then Carrie Fisher's passing. I mean, we could have gotten a movie, guys. There's no reason we shouldn't have gotten a movie with those three actors still alive in it. In a decent scene, even. We should have had Harold Ramis back as a Ghostbuster. But other things were going on there. It's a real blight on Ghostbusters fandom that when Dan Aykroyd, Ernie Hudson, and Bill Murray finally came back for a Ghostbusters movie, it was that garbage dumpster fire of the 2016 one that they came back for. I'm glad that they're back for this one, and I hope it works, but it'll never wipe out the fact that the one they did end up coming back for first was that one. So it does harm to brands. It does harm to the possibilities for us to get actually good stories, or just give us, the good, give us good news stories. Stop trying to mine the past, Sound engraver for $2. The next phase, Lucille Ball deconstruct. Oh my gosh. I just had a vision of a I Love Lucy kind of reboot. They would make her some incurable woke Karen. I bet it would. Oh, it'd be awful. It would be so awful. Oh man. Yeah, no. I don't know why people need new stuff. I mean, we always did want a Ghostbusters 3, sure, but it never negated my ability to just enjoy the two I had and then the cartoons and things like that, And when the game came out, honestly, I thought, I'm okay if this is all that it ever is. This is great. I mean, you've got a new story in the continuity after Ghostbusters 2, written by Dan Aykroyd, all of the original cast back. I was fine with that. That would have been okay. Yeah. Yeah, Lucy would have to have half of her head shaved. Yeah. Senator said Lucy would be a blonde Karen. Yep. Nathaniel's Lizwell said, I'm looking to expand my book collection and thinking about getting into Conan, though I don't know where to begin. The Robert E. Howard collection. He didn't really write... there's some sense of continuity sometimes, but you can pick up any Robert E. Howard Conan collection and just start, really experiencing the character as he's supposed to be. He did write a couple of novellas of novella length, and they're great too. Well, no, I take that back. There is sort of a general continuity of Conan because some of the stories are set when he's younger, and then he does eventually become king of Aquilonia eventually. But they're written contained enough where you could read a story about King Conan and then turn around and read one of the stories about him, a young thief, making his way, and it would be fine. So yeah, anything by Robert E. Howard, start there and really mind that for everything it's worth before you go to some of the other writers that have written him well, like Robert E. Jordan and so forth. Yeah, definitely recommend that though. It's good stuff. Definitely good stuff. Well, I am starting to run out of steam, guys. But if you have any more last minute questions or whatever, and I'll keep checking through here for other comments and stuff, or comments, too. Feel free to throw them out there. But I am going to start winding it down here. A dude says the best version of Ghostbusters, the real Ghostbuster cartoon. Yeah, that is good. I mean, I don't think it's the best. I mean, I wouldn't say it's its own thing, right? I wouldn't say it's not as good, but it's very different. But I loved it, man. I loved it. Loved watching them so much. I still see the intro playing in my head of the four of them walking down the street, and everything. And I love Slimer as kind of like the team mascot. That was great too. I really like that. Alec Purdue for $5 very much says, thank you very much. Says, what about adapting more video game stories? Sonic was great. Monster Hunter Legends of the Guild has promise. I don't know about that one. Ark Survival, I don't know about that one either. I mean, movie video games have a bad track record when it comes to adaptation to film. They don't need to. They don't need to have it. You mentioned Sonic. And Sonic was a good movie. And it was a great example of the director listening to the fans. But I really wouldn't call that an adaptation of the games. They just took character from the game and made a movie about it. They really didn't adapt the game. Now, the part 2, if they ever get to a part 2 with Tails coming in, it looks like they are going to bring in more of the game lore, which is cool. Maybe they'll go into the comic lore and stuff too. That's cool. So, yeah, they don't have the greatest track record. I mean, there have been good ones. No, current day Hollywood, I think they need to stop. I mean, like something like Ghostbusters Afterlife that had kind of been in the making for a while. And the fact that Ghostbusters Afterlife exists, I haven't really said this yet. I mean, I should definitely say this before we wrap up, is a great thing because they threw out Ghostbusters 2016. And everything we know about Hollywood says that they should have just kept shoving that down your throat. No, you will shut up and come watch the sequel too, and we're going to put even more, feminist stuff in that, and blah blah blah. No, they should have. That's what they probably are most likely would have done, in today's climate. But Sony, I think the reason why it didn't happen, I think, is just because of Sony, and they had all these kind of internal problems and everything from the get-go and stuff. So the fact that they've actually stopped and said we're not going to continue that continuity, that's huge. That's huge, and it deserves to be recognized. That deserves to be recognized just as much as, say, the director of Sonic. Listening to the fans and redoing the character design, it deserves to be recognized. So that is something, and to bring back Jason Reitman, Ivan Reitman's son, and to have the remaining original cast on board for it again. Like that's good stuff. That's really good stuff. Unfortunately, in this climate, I can't say that makes me really excited. It's going to be great because it's this climate, I hope they earn it. I hope they woo me. I really do. I hope they're on the right track. They're on the right track. I hope they keep doing it, and I hope they don't present any deal breakers. But I won't be shocked if they do, just because of Hollywood's inability to tell real good stories these days. So I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, to go back to your question about game adaptations, I think we're at a place where I don't want them to adapt any beloved properties, not even if they're games. Hollywood, go write new stuff. Learn how to write new stories. Learn how to create franchises that people want to hold dear from scratch. I think once you learn how to do that, they can't. That's the problem. That's why they keep going to these old franchises with ready-made audiences that they can, creep their agenda and preaching into. If they restricted themselves to having to make new properties, new stories, new things from scratch, then they'd have to relearn about what resonates with audiences and they'd have to relearn all of that. Once they relearn that lesson, then maybe, yeah, go adapt this or go revisit an older franchise to reboot or something, because they'll get it by then of what it takes to resonate with an audience. They don't know that right now. They're not storytellers. These are just preachers. These are just social preachers who come in and they're trying to creep their way into your older franchises to use them as a platform. That's all it is. All right, guys, I am going to wrap this up now. I do see Tom Spiegel there said, just remember there's a new Scream movie being filmed. Nope, no desire to see that at all. That's the dumbest thing I've heard in my life. But then another Scream movie. I mean, it's not. I get it why they'd be doing it because they're desperate and out of ideas. But I think that's pretty stupid. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, new stories. I agree, my dear sound engraver. So I'm gonna go make sure my daughter passed out okay. And oh man, I gotta write a paper now. Oh my gosh, is this summer ever gonna be over? All right, thank you guys for hanging out with me though. I really did enjoy once I finally got settled in and everything was okay and the stream is doing well. I will be cutting things out of this to make them to their standalone videos, so hopefully that'll be more of a coherent experience to hear all the messages and everything. But yeah, thanks you guys for hanging out. I'll be back. Let's see. We are coming back Thursday night to start book 2 of the Darth Bane trilogy. So the Rule of 2. Yeah, I think the Rule of 2 is book 2. Anyway, book 2 of the Darth Bane trilogy, Thursday night at 10 p.m. Al and I will be back for that, and I'll have videos dropping, up until then. And yeah, so thank you guys for watching. I'm going to go text Sound Engraver now. But till next time, keep enjoying and digging deeper into the hero stories you love.